Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. A little afternoon chit chat today, right before Thanksgiving. And I hope by now you've taken your turkey out of the freezer. You're kind of running out of time if you haven't. So I just kind of wanted to run through what we saw after the election. And not really any big surprises, but it's still interesting to look at and just take a little flyby on some of the numbers that we're looking at. And first thing you're going to see right now is mortgage rates have gone down just a hair. And as the title there says, no major data, no major drama. So the economic calendar didn't have a whole lot to present. And this time of year, a lot of bond traders are off on vacation. So you're not going to see any spikes or dips all this week or the day after Thanksgiving. Now, next week, we will get back to normal chaotic business. In other news, looking here and looking at Phoenix, it says here, this is from the Phoenix Business Journal and CoreLogic. The Phoenix area's year-over-year home price growth slowed in September compared to summer trends, but the valley still registered one of the biggest month-over-month increases among major metros, according to this new report. Showed home prices were up 0.3 in September over the previous month. In the Phoenix metro between July and August, and the valley's median had actually dropped slightly, the only monthly decrease of 2024, according to the report. So basically what they're saying is, we're not seeing any major price drops in our market, and it's just kind of like we've been saying, muddling along, and it's being held back by interest rates. Now, I'm going to get into some inventory numbers and show you kind of some interesting things, but nothing jumps out. But I want to touch a little bit about the NAR lawsuit that's out there. They're supposed to have a ruling, I think, today or tomorrow on accepting the settlement. The National Association of Realtors got sued by Sitz and Burnett. Hello, YouTube. And so they had an agreement. So now the judge has to decide whether or not the terms of the agreement will be accepted. But then the Department of Justice got involved, and those of us in real estate were just like, please don't, stay out of it. I mean, it's already a mess. So please don't add any more spices to the soup. Okay. Ernesto, I'll jump to your question in just a moment. Because here's what we're looking at. This is interesting. NAR fires back against the DOJ's statement of interest. They came out and said, we're kind of looking at this too, but we don't think what you did is really helping consumers. It may be hurting consumers. I kind of agree with that because confusion hurts consumers. And it says in its statement of interest, the DOJ claims that the provisions itself raises independent concerns under the antitrust laws, and the agreements have the potential to limit how brokers compete for clients. I don't think so. The NAR called these concerns unfounded, claimed they're based on misreading of paragraph 5.8 of the settlement. Now, inside of that, one of the things that the DOJ said, which really illustrates that, what you read versus what's really going on are always two different things. They said that they also didn't agree that the NAR was requiring consumers, buyers, to sign up to have permission to view an open house. Where'd they get that? It's not anywhere in the settlement. In fact, if you go into an open house and an agent's telling you that you're required to sign up, they are lying to you, folks. They are out and out lying to you. And think about it. If you don't sign up and you start walking through the house, are they going to tackle you? Get back here. You also get the line that says, well, the owners are requiring to know who's coming through their house. No, the owners don't care. They get home at the end of the day and they go, how many people came through? 6. Perfect. Any of them want to buy? Well, no. Okay, darn, have another one. It's the agents collecting your name and your email so they can put you on a drip system so they can be in contact and help you. Don't blame them. That's the way the business rolls. But for the Department of Justice to come right out and say that they don't agree with this requirement that doesn't exist, that's what scares me about big government getting involved. Just get out of the way. I mean, nobody needs to come in and regulate our commissions and how they're paid because they're all negotiable. An agent can charge 20% if they want. They'll be unemployed rather quickly. An agent can charge 0.5% if they want. There are no regulations. The new regulation just says that they want you and the agent to negotiate what their fee is in case the seller doesn't want to contribute. And there's also some pushback that says, let's say I negotiated 2% for the buyer, and we find out after writing the offer or during the offer writing process that the seller was actually offering 3%. Well, I don't get that extra percent. That goes maybe towards closing costs. There's limits on how much can be contributed to closing costs. So they've just made it a very, very ugly mess. Hello, Marcella. Thanks for joining us. Ernesto here says, why don't you talk about how total numbers of completed new homes that remain unsold at 2009 levels? I don't know where to find that data, Ernesto. I can look on the public report and look and see how many permits are issued. I can look at months of supply. Months of supply are counted by when they, from when they first start pouring the foundation. That's considered a house added to the inventory. Hasn't sold yet. So it always runs considerably higher. And the last time I checked, I think we were about 10 months of supply. Is that by 2009 levels? I don't know. 2009 levels were extremely high because we had this major crash in 2008 and everything was sitting there. Remember, we had 58,000 listings on the market, new houses for sale by stage completed. I'll dive into that a little bit later, but for now, I apologize. I don't have it, Ernesto, but here's what I do have. This is our pending listings. You can see here, they're right at 2023 levels, and they will seasonally go down like they do between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And if you're thinking, because one of the numbers that I'm looking at now, and you can see on the ticker down below, is that new listings have dropped. New contracts have gone up slightly. So they went down right prior to the election. Everybody frozen in time. It didn't matter whether the Republicans won or the Democrats won. After the election was over, it's business as usual. And that's what we're seeing. The new contracts that we see right back up where they were, between 2,400, 2,500 a week on what I pull off the MLS. What is changing now, and it's seasonal, canceled listings have popped up about 200. People are pulling their houses off for the holiday. Got to put them back on in January. I don't think that's a good idea, and I'll tell you why. Inventory, about 21,000 today. It's probably going to get down to about 20,000, maybe 19,000 by Christmas. I'm just guessing here. I mean, if I look at the active listings, you can see that they're starting to decline already right there. I thought they'd start declining here, but they're not. So they're going to go down, and they'll be rolling around, I think, 19,000. I think they're going to be right about here. So in January, they're going to pop back up. Is that when you're putting your house back on the market, when there's more competition? You will have less foot traffic, but the buyers that are out there now are serious. So you might be missing an opportunity. I would leave it on because you don't have anything to gain. You're still going to have accumulated days on market. So you're going to have it off for like 40 days and you put it back on. It's still going to show your average days on market. So that you're not going to improve that number. What you're going to do is deny yourself some exposure while the serious buyers are out there, because there's some corporate relocations. People have to move in January. They don't like looking at a home right before Christmas either, but they're out there for a reason. And Friday after Thanksgiving has a heck of a lot of traffic at open houses. I don't think you want to miss that. There's a lot of people here from the Midwest, from the Northwest. And, hey, Dad, let's go look at this house down here. Maybe you should come move closer to us while Mom's shopping. See that all the time. Price changes. As it gets slower, the price cuts are going up. Not by a lot, but excuse me there. It's highest that it's been in 2 years. If you look at it here, it's up there. a little bit above 2,500. So, people are softening their asking prices up. You can see our month supply has gone up from 3.5 to 3.6. Nothing major. We still say between 4 and 6 months is normal. I think if you hit 6 months, you're probably going to panic and go, what's going on here? Crumford, the average days on market, which I just alluded to right now, shows us at 68. And it was in October, it was 70, September 68, August 69. So of the houses that are out there, it is taking statistically longer, but it's certainly not a record. I mean, we're here. You can see here when interest rates flew up that the wheels fell off the wagon. It got pretty ugly. And this only goes back to 2020 on this. Actually, I can change that. Let's look at what happened. Let's go back to 2009 since it was asked about that. Let's go all the way back to 2009, see what this looks like. There's 2020. It's not letting me do that. What's going on here? Bear with me. See if I can pull it up here. Click, click, click. It's not letting me slide where I want to be. Isn't live great? There we are, 2009. There it is. See that? 121 days on market. 2008, 135 days on market. So nothing was selling there. So we had a rough few years here, even in 2010. It just took a long time to sell a house, and those that were for sale were torn up. Buying a home is growing even less affordable, according to Housing Wire. Knock me over with a feather. It's hard to imagine home prices rising dramatically unless there's a crisis that lowers mortgage rates in the low fives. And the thought of mortgage rates going down is looking bleaker and bleaker because of our national debt. There's a little bit of a pushback going on with bond traders, despite the fact that central bank lowered them in September and November. We're not seeing anything pushing us back to lower rates. In fact, I saw a chart by Mortgage Business Daily. I think it was Mortgage Business News, and it showed their projection for mortgage rates in 2025. And one chart went like this, and the other chart went like that, but none of them went below 6%, and one went slightly above 7%. So they're giving a prediction that basically said, yeah, who knows? I don't know where this is headed. So trying to predict where interest rates are going to be next year is tough. Now, if we do see the central bank decide to come in and start purchasing bonds and holding them on their balance sheet, it'll be because of bigger fish to fry. They don't really, while they glance at the housing market, they're not moving rates around to help or hurt the housing market. Chairman Powell had made a comment in his last press conference that said, housing is out of balance. It's unaffordable. So until house prices start to move down with the combinations of wages moving up, we're going to be here for a while. Now, that's entirely true, but there's always a surprise that comes in one way or another. If inflation starts taking off again, people are chattering about that. I don't know. I have no opinion on that. That certainly doesn't let house prices come down. Even as slow as what we're seeing now, we're seeing asking prices coming down, but the actual close prices compared to last year are not. So you kind of have to digest that. If you're listing your home, I made up a little term the other day that said there's two different ways to list your home. I think I can get, and I know I can get. When you list it at I think I can get, you're kind of going, well, let's see if I can get this price. You won't. You already looked at your comps, you're kind of pushing the envelope. And then there's the I know I can get. You know the price. You can go, okay, I know if I price it here, I'll either sell it at that price or I'll get bid up. And so that's the only pricing that's getting a lot of attention right now. And that is simply bargains. Buyers want bargains in this market. And according to the Cromford Index, we have actually crossed over into a buyer's market. And I'll see if I can pull that up for you here in just a moment. And if I look this on the weekly chart, they still haven't updated. We're down here in the bottom, right down there, 86.9. officially a buyer's market. Now, does that mean you're going to see a list price and they're going to give you a heck of a bargain? That's the hard part. The people that absolutely have to sell their house right now are willing to do some wiggle room. But there's a lot of people right now that have listed their home to go, well, I'll give it a try. I've got a lot of equity. Let me see if I can get it. If I don't, I'll pull it off the market. It's a weird market. I keep waiting for the supply versus demand to be updated here on the Cromford Market Index, but they're still sitting here touting October prices, which I look at the difference in here with the blue line going above the red line, blue line being supply and red line sales, and they have separated further. So that's why I'm saying that there is pricing pressure on the downside. And if you're selling, you should probably consider that. We've certainly seen some of our listings that nobody's offering you your retail price right now, what you want. So just be prepared for that and be prepared to offer concessions to help with closing costs and or interest rate buy down. So that's what's going on in our market. Now going into Thanksgiving, like I say, it's going to be dead. If I pull up the moving average next week, it's going to be terrible. And then it'll start going back up a little bit. And then it get closer to Christmas, it'll be terrible again. But consumer confidence is high. Numbers are looking fairly decent. Doesn't look like anything's fallen apart yet. There's a lot of things within the government that can go wrong, a lot of things that can go right. All you can do, instead of being someone that's going to try and guess the top or guess the bottom, is just ask yourself, can I personally afford this market? If you can, do you think there's a house out there that fits your needs? Take a look. If you can't afford the market, well, then you have no choice. You got to sit back and wait. The good news for those of you sitting back and waiting, rents are coming down. We're finally starting to see rental prices come down. And you can tell that when you're driving around the valley. You can see that that there's a lot of apartment complexes that are filling up right now. In fact, I'm going to pull up rentals, average rent per square foot. And unfortunately, this doesn't really tell the true story. It shows us, what's on the MLS. It doesn't show much movement here because most of those are off market. They're not listed on the MLS. So we can't really glean the data there. But when you start seeing signs, first month free, no deposit, stuff like that, then that market is starting to soften up. I'll see what I can find on new home sales, but I think it's safe to say last time I looked out there about a 10-month supply. Whether or not we're at 2009 levels, I don't know. And Ernesto, I also don't know what that would mean. In other words, in 2009, we certainly didn't have the population that we had now. So even if we had the same amount of homes for sale that's sitting out there that we did in 2009, we have exponentially more people living here now, more jobs and more diversity in the jobs than we've had in the history of this state. So you can't have a whole bunch of people move here and expect the statistics to kind of be the same. But I leave that up to very, very intelligent mathematicians. And newsflash, that ain't me. I wish everybody a very happy and joyful Thanksgiving, and I hope you get to spend a lot of time with your family. And for those of you that know, I shared some health news the other day. I really appreciate your sincere comments that you passed on to me. It means a lot, and I'm going to plow through this. It's not going to affect my ability to run real estate because I've got a great team behind me that helps me with everything. And I don't think we're going to really get to doing anything till about the end of the year. So anyway, once again, thank you. Thank you for all your well wishes. Have a great Thanksgiving. Take care.